on trial. We are not on trial from anybody. The people who come here are coming to meet a Senate that is united in resolution, Mr. Speaker, to deal what they want to do. Let me confess this. When the impeachment of the governor of Taita Taveta came to this House, Mr. Speaker, the governor and many other characters said, Mr. Speaker, Senator Murkomen has organized and planned, because he's the majority side, that he must be impeached because of other auxiliary factors and politics out there. Mr. Speaker, I spoke in these chambers and I told this House that since I joined this House as a senator, Mr. Speaker, this House has always stood firm on matters of accountability and devolution, and that every senator in this House is qualified, Mr. Speaker, to preside over any issue in this House, Mr. Speaker. Nobody is more special to the other. The only sometimes the preference we have is that because we have the advantage of having lawyers in this House, we usually try to say out of the 11 members, at least 2-3 of them should be lawyers to be able to understand matters of procedure. But every senator who went to school, who did not go to school, who studied architecture, engineering, who studied law, who studied whichever course, is qualified, Mr. Speaker, to preside over process of accountability of governance in this country. And therefore, those who are speaking around and saying, oh, you know, I should have preferred so and not the other one. When we meet in this House, Mr. Speaker, there is no Jubilee, there is no NASA. There is no Tanga, there is no Kieleweke. This House, Mr. Speaker, is a House of Senate. This is a chamber of the Senate, Mr. Speaker. This is where we make laws, protect counties, Mr. Speaker, oversight counties. When we fought for money to go to counties, Mr. Speaker, there was no Kieleweke or Tanga or Jubilee or NASA. Every time we do these things, we rise to the occasion, and we are capable of, Mr. Speaker, trusting ourselves to push for matters that Mr. Speaker, I am urging our members.
What's your point of
that
order,
as we
Senator?
move forward, Mr. Speaker.
Leader, is a point of order.
In order to tell us that this House does not comprise of Kieleweke and the Tanga. And he said before that this is a House of the Senate. Why does he have to go that low again, Mr. Speaker? Is that right? I
think he was just elaborating on being alive to the politics outside
Mr.
there.
Speaker,
Proceed,
Mr. Speaker.
Senate.
No, Mr. Speaker, I'm sure Senator Ali is very much aware of what he's saying. He just wanted to contribute to be part of this debate. The whole country is watching. And I was, Mr. Speaker, I've not had a chance to interact with him, but there's a video going around, Mr. Speaker, where someone is chasing grasshoppers with a stick, Mr. Speaker. And my first impression, I thought it was Senator Ali. And Mr. Speaker, after a very hard job during the recess, you can be excused, Mr. Speaker, to be a bit more excited. So, Mr. Speaker, and I am not, I'm not belittling the efforts of government to fight that issue. They must do it seriously, Mr. Speaker. And I'm sure when we come back, that will be a matter we will deal with, Mr. Speaker. And we are ready to take pictures. We don't know only to send to who. So, Mr. Speaker, we must emphasize in this House, and I want to request my colleagues, and Senator Orengo will tell you, when we sat in the Wambora impeachment, in Windsor Hotel, I don't know, Senator Mutula, you were bad, you were not. Kalwale was there, he was the chair. And Mr. Speaker, we took a walk. We took a walk to make a decision to the field down there, golf course, Mr. Speaker, to make a decision outside the building, because we thought maybe someone is recording us and also. And we made a decision and finished. It never leaked, Mr. Speaker, until we were in these chambers. Everybody, including our colleagues, were running around to find out what decision did we make. I urge my colleagues, Mr. Speaker, who are going to be part and parcel of this committee, to, Mr. Speaker, uphold a high level of integrity and to look at the law, to look at the issues, Mr. Speaker, to come back, Mr. Speaker, with a report that when Kenyans ask, Mr. Speaker, as they follow the proceedings, Mr. Speaker, and the final decision, let them come, Mr. Speaker, back, holding the confidence of this House high, and not just this House, their own personal, Mr. Speaker, integrity. And I know that when histories will be written, Mr. Speaker, about impeachments in this House, I am very proud to have served in the first impeachment committee. And, Mr. Speaker, I believe that those who are going to serve in that committee are going to do a good job. Let's not listen to the noise out there about this and about that. Just stick to the law and the facts. and Mr. Speaker, guide this House to make a determination, Mr. Speaker, if need be, on issues that are within the law, Mr. Speaker, and rising above all these other parochial interests. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, I take exception. Although this House, we can't quote newspapers, Mr. Speaker, I take exception with those who are hurling around newspaper articles about the Speaker this, the committee members are so and so, people lobbying using newspapers and so forth. Mr. Speaker, this House must continue to follow its own standing order and procedures and hold itself in a high decorum when dealing with matters of that magnitude. Mr. Speaker, I beg to move and now therefore invite the Senate Minority Leader, who is the senior counsel, Mr. Speaker, Senator James Orengo, to second.
I beg to second. And as I second, refer to the annals of the Senate at the first impeachment trial by this Senate, to which the Leader of the Majority has referred. Mr. Speaker, during that debate, I brought it to the attention of the Senate why the power for the removal of the President, the Deputy President, and the Governor and the Deputy Governor was placed on the Senate. In fact, if you look at the history of the United States, there's an explication as to why this important power was placed on the House of the Senate, which sits as a jury and a court. And Mr. Speaker, there is an impeachment process now that is going on in the United States, and part of the rules of the Senate is that during an impeachment trial, no senator is allowed to carry his mobile phone into the Senate chamber,